Hey guys, today we are going to be learning about taxes and budget. This is a really important topic no matter what job you want to do after you graduate. You're going to have to pay taxes and you're going to have to learn to manage your own money as you get more independent. So these are really important topics for us to learn about, to be familiar with, and to understand how they work. So get ready to take some notes. You're going to need a pencil, a journal, or paper, and you should be writing everything I'm writing on the screen throughout the video. The first thing we need to do is talk about percents. We talked about these last semester, but this is just a little refresher for you. We're going to be dealing with percents a lot when we're talking about taxes and budgets because percentages are the way that taxes are determined. And we also see that a lot whenever we're working with money, such as when we are paying taxes on, sales tax, or when we are getting a discount. Sometimes it's a percentage. So let's talk about what percent means. The word percent literally means out of 100. Percent is out of 100. So write that down on your paper. Cent, that part right there represents 100. Like a century is 100 years, or there are 100 cents that make a dollar. So that part of that word literally means 100. And per means out of. So this word means out of 100. Whenever you're setting up a percent, you are going to set this template up on your paper. This is going to give you an outline of how you set the problems up. So what you want to find the percentage of out of the total, and then you're going to put the percent over 100. So another way that you might see the want is also the part. So the part over the whole or the total, you can write all of those down, or what you want the percentage of out of the total. So these are important for you to have in your notes so that you can have those to look back at as you're doing your work later. At any point, if you need to pause the video to catch up on writing, if I'm going too fast, definitely do that. Next, we're going to talk about some important vocabulary, some words that you're going to see come up in problems, and we need to know what these words mean. These are also words you're going to see and hear in real life, and so we need to know what these mean because this could make the difference between you having more money or losing money, depending on how you understand these and the decisions that you make with your money. So as we go through these, you are going to write down the definitions on your paper. I have mine fill in the blanks. Sorry, you don't have blanks to fill in, but if you need to pause it to catch up on writing the definitions, then definitely do so. So the first word is a coupon. A coupon takes a dollar amount. I'm going to abbreviate that with the dollar sign, or a percentage amount off of the total. So if I have a coupon for $1 off of a tub of Bluebell ice cream at the grocery store, then I would give that to the cashier and they'll scan it and it will take $1 off of my total. So I'll save that money. I don't have to pay that. It subtracts from my total. Or it may be a percentage. Like I have a coupon for 10% off my whole purchase at Target. So then I have them scan it, and then the cash register will take off 10% of whatever I'm spending. So it can be a percentage or a dollar amount. For a percentage, the more you spend, the bigger the amount of money that you are subtracting is. For a dollar amount, no matter how much you spend, it's just going to be that dollar amount you're subtracting. The next word is a discount. The discount is when you get a lower price. So if we're dealing with a discount, we want to subtract that discount from it. Discounts are good. So that's why people love Black Friday, because they get lots of discounts. The next word is a rebate. This might be something you're not as familiar with. It's not as common as coupons and discounts, but a rebate is sometimes when there's an offer for you to mail in some sort of paper or form, and the company will mail you back a check for some refunded money back. So let's say I go buy a TV at Best Buy. I'm going to pay them the full amount, but maybe the manufacturer of the TV is Samsung, and maybe Samsung has a rebate and they're going to give me back $100 if I send in this paperwork. So I'm going to send in the paperwork to Samsung and they're going to mail me a check for $100. So I save that $100 but I have to pay it up front, and then I eventually get it back whenever Samsung mails me my check back. So that's called a rebate. Sales tax is a percentage of your total added onto your bill. So on your receipt at a store, if you look at the receipt when you check out at 7-Eleven buying some Takis or whatever, it'll say the total. The subtotal is what it's usually labeled as, and then it'll say how much the taxes are, or the sales taxes, and then it'll have another number that's your grand total, and that is going to be what you get when you add your total, your subtotal plus your taxes. So your taxes are a percentage that are added onto your bill. This is money that goes to the government. Sales taxes can pay for local improvements like roads. They can pay for libraries. They can pay for, the salaries of government officials and police officers and things like that. So sales tax goes to a bunch of different things to help the community and to pay different government provided services and jobs. Income tax. Income tax is a percentage of your income. Income is what you earn. So my income is my paycheck. It's what comes into my bank account that the government takes or subtracts from your paycheck. So income taxes are going to come out of my paycheck by being subtracted. So if I have a job that I make $200 on my paycheck, I'm not actually going to get $200 into my bank account. It's going to show $200, but then they're going to subtract the taxes that go to the government from that. So that my paycheck may only be $175 that actually goes into my bank account instead of $200. So that income tax comes out of your paycheck. The next word is assets. Assets are what you have. This could be money. It could be a house. It could be a property. It could be a farm. It could be a car. It could be a boat. It could be whatever you own. Okay. So your assets are your phone and your AirPods and whatever you guys have as teenagers. Those are the things that we would call your assets. It's what you have. Liabilities is what you owe. So your liabilities is what you owe. So if I borrow money from a friend, then my liabilities are what I owe to that friend. Or if I borrow money from the bank to buy a car, that would be my liabilities. It's what I still owe to the bank before paying off my car. So those are some important words that you're going to see during this lesson and in real life that we need to be familiar with. If you didn't get a chance to record any of that on your paper, pause the video and catch up on your writing. Now, a budget is the kind of your plan of how you want to spend your money. So having a budget is a good idea so that you can make sure that you have the money to pay for the things you need to pay for before you run out of money. So that's a wise thing to do, is to budget your money. Now, there's always going to be ways that your budget or the way you actually spend your money have to change throughout the month and don't go according to plan. Maybe Bob, in this case, budgets this amount of money for each category, but then maybe his car breaks down and he has to pay for his car to get fixed. So there's always unexpected things that happen, but having a budget and having a plan with your money is a good way to make sure that you're not overspending and that you have the money to spend on the things that you need to pay for. So we're going to be doing a little practice here with some budgets. So right here we have Bob's budget. And it tells us at the top that Bob has an $800 monthly budget. So he's giving himself $800 to spend per month. The categories that he spends money on are saving for college. So he puts $200 a month towards that. His car payment, he pays $275 a month. His cell phone, he pays $125 a month. Clothes, he budgeted $50 a month. Food, $100 a month, and other, anything else random that he needs to pay for fits in the other category, and that is also $50 a month. So the first thing that we have to know in a budget is what's the total. In this case, it gives us the total. But if we didn't know the total of his budget here, sorry, struggling with the pen. If we didn't know his total of the budget, what do you think we would do to find the total of his budget? Well, we would add all these numbers up. So if I added all of these numbers up, then it's going to total up to $800. All of those categories add up to his total budget. So the steps we're going to do is we're going to identify the total amount of the budget. Check, already did that. Next, we're going to circle what part of the budget the question is asking for. So Bob spends 15% of his monthly budget on food. So we're focused on food. Right here, I'm going to circle that for us. Then it says if it's asking for more than one category, add them up. In this case, it's not asking for more than one category. This is if it was to say, how much does he spend on food and clothes? Then we would have to add food and clothes together. But in this case, we get to leave it as is. So we're good there. We're good there. Then we're going to set up a proportion to solve. So a proportion is like setting up a one chart. So like we kind of reviewed in the beginning, our proportion is going to be whatever part we want the percent of over the total. And it's going to equal the percent out of 100. So let's set that proportion up. So our part is going to be how much does he spend on food? So for food, it is $100. So we'll put $100 on top. So remember, you should be writing this with me. And our total is going to be $800. Then we're going to set it up equal to the percent out of 100. And so we are going to put 15 on top and 100 on the bottom. Now, there's no hole here. There's nothing for us to fill in. But what we're trying to figure out is it true that 100 over 800 is equal to 15 out of 100? So let's make this math a little easier for us. If we take off a 0 here, we could take off a 0 here and a 0 here and a 0 here. So that makes it a little easier because it's 1 over 8 equals 15 over 100. So let's see if the cross multiplying works. 15 times 8 equals 1 times 100. And we're going to see if that is true. If it works out where these are equal, then this is a true statement. So 15 times 8. Let's write that down. 15 times 8 is 120. And 1 times 100 is 100. So did this work out where they were equal? No, they are not equal to one another. So this is a false statement. Another way that we have learned to quickly find a percent of a total is to multiply your total by the decimal that equals the percent. So another way we could check and see what 15% of his total is 15% would be written as a decimal as 0.15. And I could figure out what 0.15 times 800 is. So that's another method. I'm going to clear my screen so I have some space to work here. So if I want to find what 15% of his monthly budget, $800, is. Another way I could test this is to multiply the total by the decimal that equals the percent. So to change a percent to a decimal, all I did was move the decimal. 15% would be 15.000 or whatever. Move it backwards twice. So that gives me 0.15 equals 15%. So then if I multiply 800 times 0.15, I get, add those up. I'm running out of space. If I add those together, I get, oops, not 12,000. What did I forget? I forgot to move my decimal. 1, 2, and I move it 1, 2. So that really is $120 would be what 15% of his budget is. And since he only spent $100 on food, that's not 120. This is a false statement. So that's an alternative method of solving. If you find that easier, then you could use that method. So if you're finding a percent of a total, you're going to multiply the total times the decimal that equals the percent that you're looking for. So total times the decimal that equals the percent, and that will give you the part, or the amount of money in this case, that is 15% of $800. All right, we're going to do another example also about Bob and his budget. It's the same exact budget, and we are going to this time find out, is it true or false that Bob spends 25% of his monthly budget on college savings? So the first thing we want to do is identify the total amount of the budget. So in this case, it gives us the total amount as we saw before. If it didn't give us the total amount, all we would do is add all of the numbers in the budget up, and that would give us our total. So our total is 800. Check. Circle what part of the budget the question is asking for. Bob spends 25% of his monthly budget on college savings. So college savings is our first line of our budget right here, $200. So we want to see, is it true that that is 25% of his budget? If it's asking for more than one category, we would add those together. In this case, it's not. It's just asking for college savings. Next, we set up a proportion to solve. So this time, I'm going to set up what we want, what part we want the budget of over the total equal to the percent over 100. So this time I'm going to put an X in there. I'm going to call the amount that he spends on college savings X. I'm going to see what is 25% of his budget. The total budget is $800. And we're going to see, is that equal to 25% out of 100%? So to solve for X, to see what is 25% of his budget, we are going to do the magical butterfly, cross multiply, and divide. There's no way to simplify by taking off zeros in this case, so we're just going to keep it as is. So let's start by doing 800 times 25. Hopefully the butterfly, cross multiply, and divide method is kind of coming back to you. Equals 100 times X. So our first step we want to do is draw railroad tracks. We're going to do the left side here, 800 times 25. So if I do 800 times 25, running out of space, I'm going to add it down here. Can't even read that. 2,000 is what I got. No, 20,000. Sorry, forgot a zero there. It's so tiny I couldn't read my writing. 20,000, and it equals 100x. Sorry, it's hard to read, guys. Next, we want to find what x is. So this 100x means 100 times x. And the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we're going to divide by 100. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I'm going to divide by 100 on the other side. I can take off 2 zeros here and 2 zeros here, which leaves us with 200 over 1. And that simplifies to be 200 is equal to x. That tells me that 25% of his budget, 25% of 800 is $200. Is that what he budgeted for his college savings? Yes, $200 is a match. So this is actually true that he budgets 25% of his money for college. So that's another way to go about it, is you could put an X in there for the dollar amount and then solve for what 25% of the budget is and see if it matches what's in the table for his college savings. And since it did match, this was true. That's important for us to know how to find that missing X, because it's not always going to give us a true or false statement that we have to verify. So we might have to actually just solve for what is 25% of his budget. And so this is how you would do it. You would set up X over his total is equal to 25 over 100. Your percentage is always going to be over 100 because, as you remember from the beginning, percent means out of 100. Number 3, we are going to switch to Oscar's budget now. So we are going to look at his budget, and it tells us in his monthly budget, each category is assigned a certain percentage of his monthly income. Oscar's monthly income is $2,250. So this budget is set up a little differently. The last budget we looked at how much, or he listed out the amount of money he wanted to spend in each category, but Oscar, he listed out the percentage of his income he wanted to spend in each category. So the first thing says to identify the total amount of the budget. It tells us his monthly income is $2,250. So that's going to be his total. In this case, we don't want to add up the percentages to get the total because percent means out of 100. So all of these percentage together is going to equal 100% of his budget. We know that that's his total percentage. What we want for the total of the budget is the money. So we got that, $2,200. Circle what part of the budget the question is asking for. So the question says less than $900 of Oscar's budget is spent on house payment and life insurance. So we want to figure out what house payment and life insurance is. It says if it's asking for more than one category, add them up. So this is a situation where we have more than one category. It's asking about house payment and insurance. So we're going to go look for those two categories. I see life insurance here, 3%, and house payment is up here, 35%. So let's add those together. So 35% plus 3% gives us 38% of his budget. So we want to know, what is 38% of Oscar's budget? That's going to help us to know, does he spend less than $900 on his budget or on his house payment and life insurance, or does he spend more than $900? So we're going to find out by finding 38% of his budget. So we're going to set that up. We're going to put the part, which is going to be his house payment and life insurance money, and that's going to be our X. We don't know what the dollar amount that equals 38% is. So X over his total, which is $2,250, equals the percentage, which we just got as 38% over 100. 38% of 2,250 is what we are solving for. So to solve, we're going to have to do some cross multiplying and dividing. So you're going to cross multiply and do 2,250 times 38 equals 100 times X. 8. So we're going to have to do some big multiplication here. 2,250 times 38. So let's set that up. Lots of multiplying. So that gives me 818000. Next line, I start with the 0. Need another 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And 3 times 2 is 6. So then we add those up and we get 85500 equals 100x. So now we want to get the x by itself. So this means 100x. 100 times x. Mashed means multiplied. So if you see a number and a letter mashed together, that means you're multiplying. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we divide each side by 100. And we take off 2 zeros here and 2 zeros here to simplify it, which gives us 855 over 1. And that simplifies to be just 855 is equal to x. So what this means is that 38% of Bob's budget is $855. So he spends a total of $855. Is a very ugly 5. That's a 5. $855 on his house payment, and my pen is not cooperating, life insurance. So we want to know, is it true or false that Bob spends less than $900? So is 855 less than 900? Yes, so this is true. Bob spends less than $900 on his house payment and life insurance. So we totaled up his percentage that we were looking for, and then we found the percent of the total that was 38%. And that was $855, which was less than $900, which made this a true statement. All right, this is our last budget problem to do together. This one is also about Oscar's budget. It's the same monthly income and it's the same categories and percentages here. We're just going to look at a new situation. It says Oscar budgets $485 for his monthly income for telephone, utilities, and emergencies. So we already know his total. We said that was $2,250. We're going to circle those 3 parts. This one's looking for 3 different things: telephone, utilities, and emergencies. If it's asking for more than one category, we want to add them up. So we're going to look for those 3 things in our budget. Telephone is 5%. Utilities is 6%. And emergencies is 11%. So let's add those together. 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 11 is 22. My pen is not cooperating. So 22% is what we want to find out about our budget. What is 22% of his monthly income of $2,250? So let's set it up. We're going to put how much money over 2,250 equals 22 out of 100. And we're going to calculate what 22% of $2,250 is by cross multiplying and dividing. So you're going to cross multiply and do 2,250 times 22 equals 100x. So we need to calculate 2,250 times 22. So write the problem. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5. And 2 times 2 is 4. So that's my first round. Second row, I start with the 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and 2 times 2 is 4. So when we add that up, I get 4, 9, 0.500 equals 100x. My last step is to get x by itself. So to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by 100. When I divide by 100 over here, I notice I have some zeros up here as well. So I can simplify this by taking off 2 zeros here and 2 zeros here. And that ends up being $495. So it is $495 of his budget that he spends on telephone, utilities, and emergencies. So now we want to go to the statement and see, is it true or false? Oscar budgets $485 of his monthly income for telephone, utilities, and emergencies. Was that true? No, that was not true. He spent $495, so this is a false statement. Our next problem we're going to do is going to deal with discounts. This problem says a car dealership offers two types of discounts. Remember, a discount is when you save money on something. Discount one is take 5% off of the original price of a car built last year and then receive a $3,500 rebate. So there's two deals there. You can take 5% off and get a $3,500 rebate. Now, a rebate, remember, is when they're going to mail you a check for that amount. Let's say it's a Toyota car, Toyota is going to pay you back $3,500. That's discount one. Discount two is to take 10% off of the original price of the car built this year and then receive a $1,250 rebate. So the percentage that they take off of the car is higher, but the rebate is lower than the discount number one. So we have to kind of weigh the options here and see which one is going to give us the best deal on the car. So the customer is deciding between two cars. Car R was built last year and has an original price of $25,340. Car S was built this year and has an original price of $22,860. Based on this information, which statement is true? So we want to know a true statement. So the statements all say the customer would pay this for car S, or the customer would pay this for car R. So basically, we need to figure out what's going to be the discounted price for car S and car R. So let's start with car R, since they listed that first. So let's write car R down on your paper. And it was built last year. So let's look at which deal we're going to get. Discount one says it's about cars that were built last year. Discount two are cars built this year. So let's look at discount number one on this one and see how much money it's going to cost. So the original price was $25,340 for the car. So that is going to be my total. So we're going to set that up as our, you know what, actually, I'm going to show you, you could totally set up a percentage, but I'm going to show you an alternative method here that's going to make our lives a little bit easier. So another way of finding a percent of a total is by multiplying by a decimal. I showed you that on the first one. So if you're going to take off 5%, the original percentage is 100%. So let's start with 100%. If you're going to take off 5%, should we add or subtract 5%? We're going to subtract 5%. 100% minus 5% means you're going to pay 95% of the cost of the car. That's what you're paying. So another way we could calculate what the cost of the car would be is to multiply my total times the decimal that equals 95%. So 95% is equal to 0.95. So I'm going to multiply his original price, looking at the wrong car, 25,340 times 0.95. So this is just an alternative way of finding that amount. But you could totally set up a proportion and solve as well. I'm just kind of showing you different options. So I'm going to multiply all this out. lots of multiplying. Got my first row. Then I'm going to start with the 0. And 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 4 is 36. That was just a stray mark there. Carry my 3. 9 times 3 is 27 plus 3 is 30. Carry my 3. 9 times 5 is 45 plus 3 is 8. 48. Carry my 4. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 2 plus 4 is 22. Woo! Long problem. All right, so now we need to move our decimal 1, 2. So I'm going to start at the back and loop 1, 2, which gets me $24,073. So that is the price after we take off 5%. Then you're going to receive a $3,500 rebate. So remember, a rebate is going to be when they give you the money back. So we're going to subtract that from our total. So we're going to subtract $3,500 from our original amount. So we subtract that and we get $73. And that is the price for car R. So let's look at what our answer choices say for car R. The customer would pay $24,073 for car R. No, we didn't get $24,000. And then car R here says the customer would pay $23,107 for car R. That wasn't true. So now we need to solve for car S and see if it's A or C. So I'm going to have to clear my car R work here really quickly so that I have space to show you the work for car S. So I'm going to clear that super quickly. Alrighty. So now we are going to test out car S and see what car S's price is going to be. So it tells us car S was built this year. So we're going to use discount number 2 because that is the discount for this year. So the original price of the car was $22,860, and we're going to take 10% off. So if originally the original price is 100% and we take off 10%, we're left with 90%. So we want to know, what is 90% of our original price, $22,860. So to do that, we are going to figure out what decimal is equal to 90%. So if I take my decimal and I move it twice, 1, 2, then that tells me that 90% equals 0.90. And I can actually even get rid of that 0 on the end because it's not helpful. And it actually creates one more digit we have to deal with. So let's just multiply by 0.9. So now we're going to take the original price, $22,860, and we're going to multiply it times 0.9. So we're going to do 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 8 is 72, plus 5 is 77. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 5 is 25. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 20, plus 2 is 20. So that gives me, I need to move my decimal place over once, $20,574. That is the price after you get 10% off. Now we need to factor in this rebate. A rebate, they're going to mail that money back to them, so we're going to subtract that from how much they're having to pay. So we're going to subtract $1,250. So we subtract those numbers and see what you get. You should have gotten that car S is going to cost $19,324. Let's look at our answer choices. A, the customer would pay $19,324 for car S. Hey, that sounds right. B and C said it would pay $21,824, which was not right. So my answer is A. So that is an alternative method for working with percentages. If you want to find a percent of a total, multiply by the decimal that equals that percent. We are going to do one more example together about taxes and percents. Mrs. Bailey went shopping for her husband's gifts on Black Friday. She bought him a sweater for $34.50, a new pair of shoes for $26.25, and a shirt for $19.25. If the sales tax rate is 8.25%, which that's what it is here in Dallas, 8.25% of whatever you spend, they're going to add on to your bill that you're going to pay at checkout. How much did Mrs. Bailey spend on tax on these purchases? So it's important to pay attention to what it wants the answer to be. In this case, it's going to be tax, just the amount of tax. So sometimes it'll say, what's their total after tax? Well, we don't want to include the cost of the clothes in our answer. We just want to find out the amount of tax that's being added on to their total. So the first thing we need to do, just like we did whenever we were dealing with budgets before, is we want to find out how much is the total that Mrs. Bailey is spending. To find her total, we're going to take all the items and we're going to add those together, just like the cash register would. So we need to add together $34.50 plus $26.25 and $19.25. I'm going to do two at a time just to make it easier. So write the problem down. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 4 plus 6 is 10. 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. And the decimal comes straight down. So $60.75 is the total of the sweater and the shoes. But we also need to add to it the total for the shirt. So let's add the shirt. And that gets us $80. So Mrs. Bailey spends $80 on the clothes for her husband. So now we want to find what is the amount of tax. So in other words, what is 8.25% of $80 is what we want to know, because we want to know how much tax is she going to have to add on to that total to make sure she has enough money to buy these gifts. So remember, an easy way of finding a percent of something is to change that percent to a decimal. To change a percent to a decimal, we're going to take the decimal and we're going to loop it over twice to the left. 1, 2. If you have an extra hole here, you're going to add a 0 there. So that's going to give us 0.0825. And we want to find the percent of 80. If you're finding a percent of a total, we are going to multiply. So we're going to do 0.0825 times 80 to find the amount of money she spends on tax. So let's set it up. We put the longer number on top, which is going to be 0.0825, and we're going to multiply by 80. So put the longer number on top so that we're only having to multiply by 2 digits by all of these instead of doing 4 digits. So 0 times 5 is 0. We've got all zeros on this line, in fact. Next line, we're going to start with a 0. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 4 is 20. 8 times 8 is 64. Plus 2 is 66. And then 8 times 0 is 0. We're going to move the decimal over 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Oh, forgot to add, sorry. So we loop the decimal over 1, 2, 3, 4, which leaves us with 6.6000. Well, in money, we only show it with 2 decimal places, so we can really ditch those last 2 zeros. So that leaves me with $6.60. So her amount of tax is $6.60. If the question was asking what is her total of her tax and all the items she bought, we would have to add the tax to her total that she spent, $80, to get $86.60 is the amount of money she owes the store. But this question just asked what was the tax that she spent. So in this case, $6.60 is our answer. All right, so your directions for the rest of class, I'm going to give those to you so you know exactly what assignments you need to do. And so pay attention to the last little bit of this video to walk you through what you're expected to do. So you are going to do an activity where you are going to be working with Marissa's monthly budget. Now, it'll give you the amounts right here. And it's also going to give you 5 statements. You are going to use your notes that we went through, those first 4 examples that were very similar to this with Bob and Oscar's budgets. And you are going to use those strategies of using a proportion or multiplying by a decimal to solve for the percentage of their budget that, or the amount of money that 30% of her budget is, and 50% of her budget is, and 25% of her budget is. And you're going to see if each of these statements are true or false. Once you solve it, if they are true, then you are going to drag that statement into the true column. Now, I didn't actually solve this, so I don't know if A is true or false, but you're going to solve it out on paper and then drag that depending on if it's a true statement or a false statement. So each of these 5 statements need to be sorted into either the true side or the false side using this as your budget you are testing out. So that's step 1. That's going to be the first slide on your activity that you're going to open. Then you're going to do a CSI to continue practicing with taxes and budget. So the scenario is, help, there has been a Black Friday disaster. While Black Friday shopping, Mrs. Brown's wallet got stolen. She really needs to find it so she can take advantage of all those sweet Black Friday deals. So she needs your help. Solve the problems to figure out who stole her wallet and where she can find it. And it says, hurry, these deals aren't going to last long. So you're going to see who stole the wallet and what store it was stolen at. So you're going to answer the problems on the following slides. You're going to use your paper to set up the problem and solve. And then each question, you will find the answer as one of these. If the answer is to number 1, for example, is $3.05, then you'll drag the X for number 1 onto $3.05. So you're going to drag each of those, and that should leave one person and one place at the end, and that's going to be the guilty person and the store where it was found at. So to recap, here's your to-do list. You're going to complete the taxes and budget activity. The true, false, sort, and the CSI are all in the same Google Slides assignment, so it's all in one place. So there's only one thing to open in Google Classroom. Then when you're done with it, submit. Then complete any missing math work. So check those zeros and focus. And then if you're done with everything, get on IXL and work on any recommended skills that I have assigned to you in IXL. If you're confused or need help at any point, raise your hand and ask for help. Let us know that you're struggling and you need help with it. Of course, use your notes to help you too. We did lots of examples together. So if I'm absent today, then ask my sub. She can help you with the work as well. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope that your work time goes well. Be productive, be on task, and get your assignments done. Bye, guys.